Hey everyone, welcome to another video on Blender Geometry Nodes. In this video, we are going to see about sample nearest node. I release new videos on a weekly basis. Please subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified when I upload a new one. This is Jay from CJ Academy. Let's start. Okay, I have the default cube, my custom workspace setup. I have covered about this in a separate video. I have shared the link in the description. You can take a look. We don't need this. We're going to see about geometry sample nearest node. Okay, you can see it takes two input and one output, and it has some domain options to choose from. So there is a geometry input, but there is no geometry output, very similar to other sample nodes. So the output of this node should be used in another node where there is a geometry context. That means we need input geometry 1 and the result to be used in another geometry. We need two geometries. Let's bring in the grid node, connect it. Let's increase the size of it, 5, and let's say 10. Okay, sample nearest node takes a geometry input, process it. Based on the position, it will give you the value of index information, and this will be taken as output to another geometry context. For this setup to work, we need another geometry node that is called sample index. I have covered about sample index in a separate video. I'll share the link in the description. You can take a look. We'll rename this to arena. We need two objects, especially the Suzanne. So let's add that. Let's name this as mom Suzanne and add one more object, Suzanne. We name this baby Suzanne. So we're going to build a setup wherever the mom Suzanne moves, the baby Suzanne moves in the same direction wherever it is. We need these two Suzanne to work further, and we don't have Suzanne as an option to select from the geometry node list. So that's main reason why we are bringing it from here. Okay, so let's bring in the mom Suzanne. This is the first one we need. We are going to take grids information. Okay, let's put it this way. We are going to take the grid information and feed into the set position of the mom Susan. Okay, set position, and we are going to use the position, so that's a vector, and bring in the position attribute. There is a geometry read nodes. I have covered about this also in a separate video, and put it to the offset. Now to make sure there is a difference between the mom Susan and baby Susan, let's bring in the transform geometry node. Okay, transform geometry. Let's say we keep it as it is. To see this and the grid together, we need a join geometry. Shift right click, so get this, reroute, join geometry, reroute, and join. So this is too big. Maybe we'll increase this further. 10 is much better, maybe 15. Yeah, 15 looks good. It sits well. The grid is just used to be seen as a visualization, and we are using the grid's data to be fed into the position value of mom Susan. So this is the first setup we need. Okay, now this is in 0th index and this is in 0th index. If you increase or if you move along, so mom Susan's position is changing. Okay, this is fine. Let's keep it to this end somewhere here. Okay, somewhere here should be fine. Okay, now this is mom Susan. So now sample nearest node. There is a minor difference between sample index and sample nearest. Sample index will take the geometry and based on the input you give here, will give the value, whatever the value you want, whatever the value you are trying to access. Based on these conditions, it will give that output. But sample nearest node is, it takes the geometry and wherever the position currently it is, based on that index value is given out. So if you see, we have index input here, we have index output here. So these two can be combined together to get this sort of following effect, like the baby Susan, which will follow the parent or the mom Susan. For that, let's bring in the baby Susan. We are going to change the position of baby Susan. So let's bring in the position node. But for the position node input is coming from the combination of these two, this and this together. Okay, we want the baby Susan to follow the mom Susan, right? So we need the data of, or the geometry input. The geometry input will be from the changed value of mom Susan. Mom Susan's changed position value. We are going to change the position, okay, position of this geometry. It's baby Susan connected here, and as we did for the mom Susan, we need a transform geometry. Let's bring in transform geometry and reduce the size by half. That would be better, right? So now this offset value will be given from here. First thing we need is the changed geometry output from here. Okay, maybe we can move this down here. So we are taking the geometry, means this is the one, the moving one. Okay, the moving data of the mom Susan's we are taking as input. That's point, that's fine, and feed this as the index value. Okay, and this also geometry is also same. Now we want to change the position, right? So add this to the offset value. So we want to take the position value. So let's put position here. Okay, now you can see a little bit move the mom Susan up on Z axis. Now if you change the value of mom Susan, okay, the baby Susan is going to follow it. And if you want little bit of offset effect, you can do that by changing just the transform geometry of the baby Susan. Okay, as you change the value here, okay, the baby Susan follows the mom Susan. Okay, you see. So this is an interesting effect which you can make use of for following any of the object. The position attribute or the position node, wherever it is connected, the geometry context will come from there only. So here if we connect position, it means it is taking the position data of this geometry. So this is the geometry context it is connected to, and same goes for here. Okay, and yeah, we have used sample index, and if you are going to use sample nearest, it's always good to use it along with sample index node, so that you can always get the data of nearest value. Okay, so this is about sample nearest node. When you use sample nearest node, of course you have to use the sample index node, or wherever this index input can be accepted. See, there are some places where it can be accepted, so it should be taken further to proceed. And as I said already, it takes a geometry input but not a geometry output, so it should be always used in another geometry context, the output of this node value. If you find this video useful, please like it, share it with your friends. If you want me to cover any specific topic in Blender geometry nodes, please let me know in the comment section. If you have any questions about this node also, please feel free to ask in the comments. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in another cool video. Thank you. Bye.